York niggas didn't start flying colors.
Yeah, it's your boy Crypto Blood, and welcome to another episode of My Two Satoshis. It is June 7th, 2019. Shout out to my man Dario Dobler for this song request, Thomax, Wishing. I had to dig deep for this one. I couldn't find it on Google Play, but I did find it on YouTube, man. So thank you for the song request. What's good, YouTube? Hope you guys are doing well today, and welcome to another episode. Today we're going to take a look at, I don't know if you guys remember, this is a throwback ICO, Peer Plays. I believe Peer Plays was actually the first ICO I ever participated in. This was very early 2017, and I'm not going to lie, you know, I bought it. I waited like 3 months for it to finally hit an exchange, saw where the price was, and I sold. So I have not been following the project as closely as I probably should have, but Peer Plays has moved over to the EOS blockchain. So we're going to take a look at this, just a quick peek at it, and give you the details on that. And the second article for today is about Facebook's GlobalCoin. What a corny name, I'm telling you. Anyway, their coin is likely to arrive in June. So we'll take a look at these details, and that's out of Coin Speaker. And the third and most important article for today is about the Marshall Islands. I think if you guys remember, some of you watch like every video of mine, which I greatly appreciate. But I don't know if you guys remember or recall the video I did many months ago regarding the Marshall Islands dibbling and dabbling into this crypto game. And they were looking to actually start their own currency, a sovereign currency, similar to what Venezuela Maduro did. And you guys probably may not remember, but Estonia tried to do this as well, but they got smacked down by the EU. Mario Draghi said, wrong, it's not happening. So look, it looks like the Marshall Islands are back on track for launching their new token, the SOV. We're going to take a look at the details and see really what's going on here. Sounds too good to be true. But before we get into that, I want to let you guys know this episode is brought to you by smartcash.cc. Faster than Visa and MasterCard and no processing fees. Check them out. They were voted best cryptocurrency in Brazil in 2018. Make sure you guys check them out, smartcash.cc. And also this episode is brought to you by Moon Lambo Tees. They've got a lot of crypto apparel for you to browse through. I'm telling you, a whole bunch. Check them out. Really, really cool tees. You can save 25% off if you use the word CryptoBlood25 on your checkout. So let's go ahead and get into this really quickly. I want to take a look at the heat map before we start things. We've got an extra green day, but we're at critical levels right now, and I'm going to show you exactly why in a second. But first, we're up 5% with Bitcoin. That's pretty big, man. The entire rally for gold in the last week or two, I think in the last maybe month, has been 6%. So that just kind of puts it into perspective for you. Bitcoin Cash is up 6%. Ethereum is up 4%. EOS is up 7.5%. And Litecoin, got to give a round of applause for Litecoin, up 15% at $118. Almost $119 right now. But don't get too excited because we're near critical levels for Bitcoin. And we know that if Bitcoin isn't feeling well, the rest of the market isn't either. So unfortunately, we still have to use Bitcoin as the barometer for this cryptocurrency market. And so as you can see here, guys, these are the critical levels we're currently at. We're in the backside of that second scenario trend line that we broke a few days ago. So if you had enough balls, you could short right here and hide your stops maybe 2% above the trend line to give you some protection. Now, if you didn't have this trend line drawn here, you would think that this was a clear breakout because this area was the last two to the left, two to the right kind of peak. But that's not telling the whole story because we've got to get above this trend line here. So until we get above here, let's say 4 or 5 hours worth of candles above this trend line, I'm not putting the second part of my dry powder back into the market yet. Remember, I told you guys to get out. Well, I didn't tell you to get out. I was telling you that I got out at 8,700 because of this bearish engulf candle, and got out there, and I put half of my powder, dry powder, back in right here. So I'm really above where I first got back into the markets at this point. But I'm not convinced fully to get all the way back into crypto until we achieve closure above this trend line. Maybe 4 or 5 hours worth would be good enough for me, because we could see a pump fake. We definitely see a pump fake above it, and then maybe one close, but nothing closes up after that. No candles close above that trend line after that. So you got to be careful and be patient and wait for the sign. Wait for the market to give you the sign. Don't try to predict the market. So that's it for the TA for today. So the quick pick is about Peer Plays. Again, one of the OG ICOs, not the OG, but just an OG. I think ICOs really started in 2016 sometime, the first one. And really, if you want to really be technical, I think the first ICO was Ethereum. But Peer Plays was very, very early in their in the whole ICO wave. And I participated. I think it was my first ICO I participated in. But it says here, on June 5th, 2019, the Peer Plays Blockchain Standards Association, a nonprofit organization that supports the development of Peer Plays blockchain, announced it is joining the EOS blockchain community with the development of their revolutionary SONs, which is sidechain operating nodes, to accomplish inter-blockchain operability, or IBO. SONs is a Peer Plays protocol plugin that facilitates the transfer of token operations from Peer Plays blockchain to and from EOS and EOS.io blockchains. This is an evolution to IBC. So there you have it. I just want to give you guys that quick announcement that they're moving over to the EOS blockchain. Probably a good idea, because they were building their own proprietary blockchain. One of the very few back in the day when this whole ICO craze started. One of the very few that was actually building their own blockchain. It takes a lot of work to do that and to make it different enough to give yourself a competitive advantage over others. So it's cool to see them leveraging the EOS.io protocol. So the first full article we're going to review today is out of CoinSpeaker, and it's about this Facebook GlobalCoin. Man, every time I hear this coin, I just say this is the corniest coin name I have ever heard of. GlobalCoin, like really? Facebook's GlobalCoin cryptocurrency likely to arrive this June, it says. It says that Facebook is reportedly collaborating with third-party organizations to act as a node and maintain their GlobalCoin cryptocurrency network through proper licensing procedures. It says Facebook accelerates its plan to launch its own cryptocurrency. The latest report from the information states that the social media giant could likely launch its GlobalCoin digital currency by the end of June of 2019, that's crazy. Over the past few months, Facebook has been constructing its plans to introduce its crypto tokens. In this attempt, the company is talking with several online retailers, merchants, and even exchanges. The latest report shows that Facebook's boss, Mark Zuckerberg, recently had a word with Gemini crypto exchange owners, the Winklevoss twins. Besides, the CFTC chairman also acknowledged that the social media behemoth is discussing regulatory viabilities of its crypto token. It looks like Zuckerberg is potentially seeing a huge opportunity lying ahead in the global payments market and doesn't want to miss out on it. Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg also spoke about the opportunities in the payment market during the Facebook Developer Conference earlier this year. I'm going to stop here really quickly because I'm actually kind of surprised that they're moving so fast. Seeing that because they're such a big name, I would think more legal regulatory clarity needs to be there for them to go ahead and launch something like this. Like, what kind of impact does this have on the people that use the coin, since the IRS looks at it as an asset? Every time you use a cryptocurrency to pay for something, that's a taxable event. So I'm not sure what they're doing here and how they're going to implement this. I'm very interested to see. The latest reports suggest that Facebook is planning to have crypto ATMs in place. Moreover, it's most likely to ask its employees to draw their paychecks in GlobalCoin, thereby initiating its adoption. The major focus is to tap Facebook's 2 billion user base and give them a quick idea of how convenient it is to send payments using cryptocurrencies. The report also notes that Facebook is planning to have a third-party organization to act as nodes to help the company manage its crypto network. Facebook is likely to charge $10 million upfront for licenses to anyone willing to partner with them. Facebook will likely be running its entire cryptocurrency project under the newly established fintech startup Libra Lab Networks in Geneva, Switzerland. Banks are weary of Facebook's crypto plans. Yeah, I would be too. Although Facebook is coming up with its cryptocurrency plans, some banks and regulators are weary of it. Rebecca Harding, the former chief economist at the British Bankers Association, notes that Facebook isn't regulated the way banks are, and neither are cryptocurrencies regulated the way fiat currencies are. Rebecca calls such crypto tokens to be big regulatory headaches when it comes to handling the KYC and anti-money laundering rules. That's exactly what I'm saying. Like, how can they? It just sounds like they're like, oh, we're just going to come out with a coin next month. I know they've been working on it from a technical standpoint maybe for a year or so, but I haven't heard anything from a regulatory up until now that they've been talking to the CFTC. I just don't understand how they're just going to roll this out at the end of this month. I really don't understand. You guys help me out. Do you think they're going to be able to pull this off? Especially for a company like Facebook, I feel like it's going to be a 2 to 3 year roadmap before they can just publish this thing from a regulatory standpoint. It's just because there really isn't any clear guidance yet, in my opinion, with the government. They've been very vague with things. So it's just interesting to see them trying to launch this in this type of environment. The article goes on to say, of course, banks and their associates are likely to have a certain amount of bias to anything they see as a potential competitor. On the contrary, 14 global banks from Asia, Europe, and the U.S. announced the launch of their own utility settlement coin earlier this week. Speaking to an economist from Financial Times, he says the sheer scale that a Facebook coin could achieve should give businesses, competition authorities, and central banks some food for thought. Banks may find themselves disintermediated, with business suppliers increasingly bound to Facebook's platform. It's very true. He further added, launching virtual currencies on a modest scale has a negligible impact on monetary policy and financial stability, but if a lot of transactions end up being handled by what is in effect a foreign currency, central banks might want to think again. This, again, I don't see how Facebook is just gonna roll this out with no friction, because it is a direct competitor to the global banking cartel. Facebook has more direct access to 2 billion people than I would think a banking cartel does. I don't know. You guys let me know your thoughts about that. But the rumor is they're trying to launch this thing in July. We'll see if that happens. I don't think it's going to happen. I'm going to be honest with you. The most important article today is out of The Block, and it is about a government-backed cryptocurrency gearing up to launch following fund creation and UN talks. So let's take a look at this. The Marshall Islands has announced a non-for-profit independent development fund to manage its government-backed token SOV. SOV will be accepted at all major vendors in the island nation. The blockchain behind it will be open source, allowing other countries to fork it and potentially establish their own local digital ledger. This is big news, people. Don't know why more YouTube people aren't talking about this, but this is big news for cryptocurrency. Forks and stuff and halvings and all that, it really does nothing for the adoption, right? We want to see things move forward in the adoption category, to be honest with you. And so things like this, unfortunately, I have to say, GlobalCoin, that's at least an introduction to cryptocurrencies for most. You know, Voice, if they implement correctly off the EOS platform, those are moves forward that we need to be talking about, you know, and not so much the superficial stuff that, you know, we hear day to day in the news for cryptos. But it says here that Marshall Islands could see its own cryptocurrency replace the US dollar, and a new fund is being launched to spur the digital assets adoption. The so-called SOV Development Fund will sustain the infrastructure around SOV. The digital currency recently declared the Republic's official currency. The token, which has a controversial past, hopes to solve what some view as a major problem with cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin: the fact that they aren't backed by the government. That's the whole point of Bitcoin. The hope for SOV is that its adoption by the Marshall Islands will give it a leg up over other cryptocurrencies. While Bitcoin is officially recognized as accepted tender in countries like Japan, it is not considered the sovereign currency. a designation that would force international organizations to afford it the same respect as the euro and yen and require merchants to accept it. In Japan, although Bitcoin is legal, merchants are not required to take it as payment. SOV is built on its own blockchain and will have to duke it out with the US dollar, which the country's 53,000 residents are free to continue to use. SFB Technologies, the company hired by Marshall Islands to develop the technology behind SOV, has a tough hill to climb to get the crypto as popular as the Bitcoins of the world, to be sure. And there's no guarantee regular people will ever use it, even the residents of the Marshall Islands. Indeed, the democratically elected president almost lost her premiership after the parliament triggered a vote of no confidence last year over the coin. And this is one thing that I covered. I actually covered this topic twice. One was the announcement of the actual coin, and then this whole thing with the parliament and them not wanting to do this, and then IMF, I believe, got involved. So it's been a rocky road for this particular coin. So I'm just shocked to see it actually is going to launch here. Now Haines' plan for creating the so-called first legal tender cryptocurrency are being presented at the UN's Blockchain for Impact Summit. The SOV Development Fund's mandate is to maintain the SOV infrastructure long term, to seed the ecosystem around the SOV, to promote the SOV and its uses both domestically and internationally. The development fund will be endowed with 30% of the SOV's initial supply, while 10% of total SOV distribution will go to investors in the token for helping jumpstart its development. Another 10% will be delivered to the island's population for free via an airdrop once the SOV mainnet is launched at a yet undecided date. This will jumpstart circulation, which will be followed by a time-release monetary issuance early next year. The tokens will be stored in banks once issued. Meanwhile, the developer of the SOV chain technology, Ben Nazir, said that the new token and blockchain were necessary to truly bring together the digital asset and financial worlds. He said it was wishful thinking that governments will change laws in the US to treat Bitcoin and others as currencies, which has important capital gains tax implications. Ben Nazir also noted that Bitcoin has limited supply, which means its value will remain too high to act as a true currency. I have to agree with him. I definitely have to agree with him. And I've been saying this for the longest. Bitcoin will not be a currency, guys, because unfortunately, you got to understand how money works to really get this point. In order to be a currency, it's going to have some inflationary aspect. I think the US dollar and a lot of these fiat currencies have runaway out of control inflation. That's the problem. If we can have a coin that's programmably inflated, where it's 1% every year, that's better than what we see with the US dollar, where it's lost 90% of its value since 1913. So we need a currency that does have some inflation. This is a step in the right direction, I have to admit. Do I like all aspects of this? No, but again, this is definitely the direction we need to go and get away from, these traditional fiat systems where the banking cartels have control over the money supply. Really, you guys may know this, but base money created from the actual Federal Reserve only constitutes about 3 to 4% of the supply, maybe even less than that. The rest of the money is created by all these banks lending, creating money out of thin air, and that's where all of this runaway inflation comes from, and it just gets out of control because they're just loaning, and with the fractional reserve system, they're just loaning and creating more and more dollars into the system, and they benefit first. Maybe this attempt will help at that. I'm hoping so, but again, I think this is major news for cryptocurrencies. This is a step in the right direction. First thing that comes to my mind was the Bretton Woods Accord. This is kind of on that level, not entirely, but this is a monumental point in monetary policy and cryptocurrencies and stuff. This is good. You guys let me know your thoughts about this. Do you think this is going to be a success? And what things do you like about it? And what things do you not like about the SOV? I'll try to find the previous videos that I did about this so you guys can get some more information about it, or you can just do a search yourself. But again, I think this is a great step in the right direction. Make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe. And I got to give a shout out to Dario Doppler for that song request for today. Thomax, Wishing. I appreciate that song, man. This is a very positive song, actually. I've been listening to the lyrics. It's your boy Crypto Blood. I'm out of here. That's my 2 Satoshis for today. Holla!